Hello everyone, you are listening to Scenecraft. From opening shots to long takes and epilogues, we examine our favorite scenes from cinema here on the podcast. I'm Cody, here with my fellow Ocean View Diners,
Mark,
and Connor.
You can find Scenecraft on most social media platforms at Scenecraft Podcast for the latest news on the show. Today we have a very special guest and friend of the show, Ren, joining us to discuss Andrew DeYoung's newest release, Friendship. Ren, thank you so much for joining us.
And thank you guys so much for having me. It is truly an honor. Connor and Mark, this is the first time we've actually met outside of Letterboxd.
Yep.
Right. And, you know, Cody knows I am a huge fan of this podcast.
Awesome.
Oh, nice.
Very excited to be here.
Well, thanks, Ren. And also, fun news, at the end of this episode, we will be joined by actor, director, and writer Billy Bryk to discuss his performance in this film as Tony, aka T-Boy. But as usual, let's begin with our brief What We've Been Watching segment, Quick Takes.
Speak quickly.
Quickly, thank you.
Quickly, come on. Hurry up, quicker.
Way quicker.
Okay, I'll say it fast.
Ren, as our special guest, you get the first quick take today. What have you been watching?
All right, so this past week, I rewatched a film that is very near and dear to my heart, and that's the 2016 mockumentary Popstar, Never Stop, Never Stopping, directed by two-thirds of The Lonely Island, Akiva Schaffer and Jorma Taccone. The third member is Andy Samberg, and the three of them wrote and star in this movie together. The IMDb logline is: when it becomes clear that his solo album is a failure, a former boy band member does everything in his power to maintain his celebrity status. This movie kind of bombed pretty hard upon release, making like just under half its $20 million budget.
Dang.
But it's one of my favorite comedies ever, so I always tell people to watch it every chance I get.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of SNL alumni / fake rap group, The Lonely Island. So I was personally always going to be on board with this. But the nonsense title and glitzy poster alone don't really make it super clear who this movie's even supposed to be for. Like, it's a hard R-rated comedy that's explicitly also a parody of these quote-unquote popumentaries from the early 2010s that were made for children, I guess, Disney adults. Not me, you know? Docs like Justin Bieber's Never Say Never, hence the title. Katy Perry's Part of Me. I think One Direction had a doc. Jonas Brothers probably had a doc. I don't know. I haven't seen a single one of these, but I'm telling you, it makes zero difference because the movie's hilarious and actually has a lot of heart.
Mm-hmm.
The joke writing and joke songwriting are strong, and it features an insanely stacked cast of comedians, plus a bunch of legendary musicians who play along perfectly. You get to see artists like Nas and Mariah Carey giving real talking head interviews about the cultural impact of very fake superstar and super diva Connor For Real, played by Andy Samberg. So it felt fitting for me to mention Popstar on the Friendship episode because The Lonely Island worked with Tim Robinson on SNL and then went on to produce Tim's show, I Think You Should Leave, which, you know, we all love and adore. So there's sort of a through line there.
Yeah.
But also, guys, not to brag publicly about something I've already bragged about to you privately, but I also worked as an extra for a day on this movie, and a shot of me actually made the final cut.
Right.
Which is like
awesome.
my greatest accomplishment. So if you pause the movie at 53 minutes and 12 seconds in, you can actually see me in the center of the frame, recoiling in pain as I get blasted in the face by a spotlight. I don't know if Popstar has actually achieved the same cult status that The Lonely Island's earlier movie Hot Rod certainly has, but I'm doing my best to get the word out, guys. And not just because I'm technically in a movie with Ringo Starr.
Oh my God.
Anyway, Popstar, streaming now on Netflix. Highly recommended. Pause the podcast, go watch it, go love it, come back, finish the podcast, press play on mute on your TV on the movie again. Watch it while you listen to the podcast. It's great.
We're going to need a nightcap sometime on how you ended up in the film. 'Cause
Yeah,
I'm sure
I have
that's
like a
whole
million
other-
questions about what that would have been like.
Yeah.
I hear your nightcap and I raise you a pro take. Because I'm a professional for a day. I mean, was I paid? No, but that's beside the point. I volunteered.
So what really goes into being an extra?
Yeah,
Oh,
a lot
I
of
love
standing around and finding out that you volunteered for something that you heard about on Instagram, and then learning that, oh, other people here are getting paid.
Oh, no way.
And
Wow.
it's fine. It's just LA stuff.
That is such a cool claim to fame. We all love this movie so much, and I'm overdue for a rewatch. It's so funny.
Yeah, me too. I'm going to kind of change the tone here with the movie that I saw for my quick take. I saw the movie Bring Her Back, which was directed by Danny and Michael Filippo. It was released this year, 2025, and the logline reads, "A brother and sister witness a terrifying ritual at the secluded home of their new foster mother." So before I begin, have any of you guys seen the Filippo brothers' other film, Talk to Me?
I have not.
Yeah.
No.
So just Cody. Okay. Did you like
Yeah.
it?
I did. I thought it was a really solid first effort. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I thought it was a pretty bold horror directorial debut that kind of carries the energy of a first-time feature director. And it was because I liked the film and the success of the film that I was excited to see what they would do with another original IP horror movie project. So I went out to the theater. I saw Bring Her Back, which, side note, is near the top of my list for favorite film titles of this year so far.
Oh, nice.
It's a good one.
Yeah. So for the film itself, this one was sort of a doozy because it lands in this weird place of being immaculately made, but really tough to digest. And before I say anything else about it, I want to make it pretty clear that I thought this film was incredible. It completely blew me away, and there's a good chance it will crack my top 10 of the year. Every shot and line of dialogue just feels so carefully considered, and ultimately just feels like the vision of these brothers, these directors, that basically put onto screen what they wanted. They didn't compromise their vision, and they don't hold back any punches. And if you've seen the film, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This is one of those horror films that not only leaves you scared, but I also felt I felt disturbed. I felt sad. I even felt mystified by the end of it. And as unappealing as that may sound to a lot of people, I basically got exactly what I signed up for. Sally Hawkins gives an incredible performance, and the film's depictions of mental manipulation arguably got under my skin more or just as much as the gory set pieces. I do think it's worth mentioning and warning that this film will undoubtedly be divisive, as it depicts several scenes of children in perilous and even torturous situations, so it definitely will not be for everybody. But all of this kind of leaves me in this unenviable position of whether to recommend it or not. And I feel like not recommending this film would be a disservice to people that are listening, because I thought it was really great. And I think it is worth warning, though, that it is a very bleak film with graphic depictions of bodily harm. If you know and are okay with what you're getting yourself into, I would recommend Bring Her Back, which is now playing in theaters.
I love how the tenor of that review was like, this is a great film,
but don't call me a sicko.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was going for when I wrote this.
Yeah.
It seems artistically very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. That's cool, Mark.
Yeah. What about you, Connor? What have you seen?
So swinging it back the other way to a more positive note, I saw the Ballad of Wallis Island. directed by James Griffiths, just came out this year, 2025. And the logline reads, an eccentric lottery winner who lives alone on a remote island tries to make his fantasies come true by getting his favorite musicians to perform at his home. So Mark and I have both seen this, and I'm very happy to be the one, not Mark, breaking the news about it. So, Mark, you hadn't even heard about this until I told you about it. Is that right?
Well, I believe that statement is demonstrably false. I would like to submit into evidence that I had actually added this film to my Letterboxd watch list on,
Okay.
I think it was March 14th, which was when I saw the trailer for it before the screening of Black Bag. So what do you
All
say
right.
about that?
Okay, I'll allow it. So thank you for telling me about this movie, Mark.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that I saw it. And now that we've both seen it, we both loved this movie. I think it felt special and strangely familiar. It's one of those rare indie summer comedies with a big heart and a subtle kind of magic to it. The kind that slips under the radar, follows a character on their journey of self-discovery, and stays with you long after the credits roll.
Mhm.
So we get treated to maybe one of these type of movies a year if we're lucky. Off the top of my head, I'm thinking of movies like last year's Snack Shack or The Way, Way Back, No Hard Feelings, The Kings of Summer. Does that sound right, Mark?
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate.
So if that helps paint the picture for everyone, those are the kind of movies that we're talking about. And Mark and I were texting a little bit. We came up with a special term just for this type of movie, and we're calling it The Ballad of Wallis Island is our first Scenecraft sleeper.
Oh,
You like that?
yeah.
Got a nice ring to it.
What if you added like Summer Sleeper in there?
Summer sleeper. I like it. Scenecraft Summer sleeper.
Because those are all kind of summery,
Yeah.
warm movies, emotional. Yeah.
I love it.
The kind of movies that really put you to sleep.
Yeah,
Is that what I'm
Exactly.
getting?
That's what we're
Yep.
going for. Yep.
Just lay in a
100%.
hammock and just sleep the summer away.
That's it.
Scenecraft snorers.
But I feel like we do say this quite a bit, but it's better to go into this one knowing very little.
Mhm.
Basically, a band who became famous in the early 2010s, but has since parted ways, gets invited to play a gig on a small remote island off the coast of Wales. Carrie Mulligan is in it, who Mark is a huge fan of, and
Oh, yeah.
she's
Yeah.
great. It's so great to see her playing a different type of role here. There's a lot of love and care poured into this movie, some great lines, extremely solid small cast, and some very good music too. I was like
Right.
really happy, pleasantly surprised with the music. Definitely go see this. I would easily recommend The Ballad of Wallis Island to anyone. I saw this with my parents and my wife the other weekend. We all loved it. It's an easy summer watch that'll put you right to sleep. Just kidding, but it's available to rent on Amazon and Apple TV
Nice.
now. So go check it out.
One thing I'll mention about the movie too, because I don't know if you really mentioned it, Connor, in your quick take here. It is very British.
Yes. Yeah.
Well,
It is very British or Welsh. Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm out.
Yeah.
okay.
What about you, Cody? What have you been watching?
So I just got out to IMAX to see Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning,
Nice.
directed by Christopher McQuarrie. It should still be out and in theaters when this episode comes out. The logline reads, Ethan Hunt and the IMF team race against time to find the Entity, a rogue artificial intelligence that can destroy mankind. So Tom Cruise and Chris McQuarrie, once again, defy physics and any sense of self-preservation at all in The Final Reckoning, which is an enormous go-for-broke and supposedly final installment in the Mission Impossible franchise that absolutely 100% contains one of the most impressive stunts ever put to film, as I think we've experienced with the past few entries. There's an oft-referenced line of dialogue from Mission Impossible Rogue Nation where Alec Baldwin's character says, Ethan Hunt is the living manifestation of destiny, and he has made you his mission. To me, this describes and continues to describe Tom Cruise on a meta level on his mission to thrill us, especially with his crowning achievement in this film, which is the biplane wing walking sequence. It's the culmination of Cruise's years of exponential stunt work, and it's executed with such jaw-dropping precision and lunatic bravery that it instantly cements itself as probably the most important practical stunt in modern cinema, at least for me, in my opinion.
Wow.
I'll save the specifics for its own Scenecraft episode at some point, breaking that down. But seeing this on a true laser IMAX screen put a huge smile on my face. I just could not believe what I was watching and experiencing. I kid you not, my Apple Watch prompted me. My heart was pounding out of my chest, and I was like squirming in my seat, and it's like, are you in a workout?
That's amazing.
And yes, the plot does lean heavily on an insane level of exposition. And yes, it regurgitates emotional beats from past entries, really plays on that nostalgia. But here's the thing, it worked on me. I found myself sitting there and thinking, you know what? Yeah, Ethan and his team have been through a lot. And yes, the vague concept of an AI specter known as the Entity does feel very non-specific in this and in the previous entry, Dead Reckoning. But it did just enough for me to create that connective tissue that's needed to justify launching into these colossal operatic set pieces, which is why we come to these movies at this point. I continue to sound like an IMAX shill, but this must be seen in IMAX.
Agreed.
I promise that the 3-hour experience of the film is worth it just for these two big IMAX set pieces alone.
Cool.
So if you're on the fence about making the trek to the theater and IMAX in particular, just do it. It is incredible. So at the end of the day, do I wish that the overall runtime had given us a more cohesive and cathartic bookend to a kind of inconsistent franchise? Yeah, but in an age where creativity and showmanship is being plagiarized and just slopped together by our own version of the Entity, Tom Cruise and team are showing you spectacle that you have never seen before. And you can really feel that risk and that weight of it being done for real. So that is worth celebrating in theaters, IMAX if you can. That's Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning.
Awesome. I can't wait to see this.
I feel like my heart's pounding out of my chest just hearing about it.
There you go. I hope I've sold it. Once again, I'm just a shill. So it was seriously incredible. Yeah, when you look at the overall film, it's like, this isn't really so much a movie as it is just like recounting all the previous 7 films and then these 2 action sequences to get there.
Sure.
But I was just fine with that. I didn't expect much more. So,
And Mark, you saw it too, right?
Yeah, I saw it in IMAX as well, packed theater, and I don't think I could say it better than Cody did. The biplane sequence, just truly amazing. And one thing that kind of goes unsaid with everything that you mentioned, Cody, is that Tom Cruise is aging. He is in his 60s, and he's doing these stunts, and it's just even more impressive knowing that.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, thank you guys for your quick takes. Now let's move into our discussion about Friendship, directed by Andrew DeYoung, starring Tim Robinson, Paul Rudd, Kate Mara, and Billy Bryk, among many others.
I can give you weed, X, shrooms, Adderall.
Do you have ayahuasca?
Oh no. But I do have Toad.
The logline for the film reads, "A suburban dad falls hard for his charismatic new neighbor." Nice and simple.
It is simple.
Let us first start with our spoiler-free section, as we always do. Ren, you're up first. What did you think of Friendship?
Well, I liked the movie Friendship quite a bit, but let me start a little bit meta. Okay, so as I said before, I'm a huge fan of this pod, and not just because you guys have good taste and talk about movies in an interesting way, but the special sauce is that you 3 were childhood movie dorks together, and that makes for a very special dynamic. So as your guest this week and someone who has long admired and envied your bond from afar, it's not lost on me that I'm very much the Craig Waterman of this podcast. If you haven't already guessed, yes, I am here explicitly to infiltrate your friendship. And, we'll see how it goes.
Just don't pull a gun on us.
We'll see. But in the meantime, yes, like I said, very much adored the movie Friendship. I saw it in theaters twice, actually, both
cool.
in packed houses. But both screenings actually had super, super different audience reactions, which was interesting. So the first screening, it absolutely crushed. Like walking out, I couldn't remember the last time I'd seen a comedy play that well in a theater. I saw it with my friend Quinn, and we're just huge Tim Robinson fans. So from scene one, shot one, we're already on board, cracking up at all the surreal little Tim-isms, just the line deliveries and the way that he'll shoot a glance at someone is just so distinctly him. Which was a relief for me because I'm sold right out of the gate, but I was also paying close attention to how other people were responding. I'd expect that a lot of that audience already had some sort of familiarity with Tim Robinson, although you could tell not everyone was sold as immediately as we were. But sure enough, little by little, you could hear people start responding one by one to the different details of Tim's performance, and it seemed like different moments would just sort of break people. And then, before long, everyone's sort of on the same wavelength, and the laughs really found each other in all the bigger moments. And so that was truly a special shared experience, and I hope cinema never dies. Now, the second screening could not have been more different, okay? I went to a late show last night, and the theater was full once again, but the laughs were very scattered, and it just never really found that same momentum. In fact, it kind of bombed, and long stretches of the movie played to complete silence.
Wow.
I mean, I found it funny and was like alone and laughing out loud and doing that kind of laugh where you're trying to like, haha,
encouraging,
please, other people
join in.
Yeah. Probably just sounded insane. But I mean, I found it super funny the second time seeing it, but make no mistake, this is a very uncomfortable, very tense movie by design. And it seemed like the majority of the audience was just cringing way too hard to actually fully get on board with it. So after a while, that lack of laughter really heightened how fucked up this movie is. And it felt more like just an explicitly dark psychodrama. Like it made me think of almost like, what if Robin Williams really went for it and went full Robin Williams in that movie 1 Hour Photo, where he plays the stalker who works at the photo counter at CVS, but this movie really just, it needs the laughs for the drama to work, because you need to be able to release some of that insane tension that builds up. And it probably only works if you find it funny in like the first 15 minutes. Like I can't imagine sitting through this much tension if you didn't think it was funny. So this much more painful second viewing didn't make me like it any less. It did just give me some clarity on how Tim Robinson's not really for everyone, at least not yet. I personally think he could reach like Zach Galifianakis levels of mainstream popularity given the right project, just because he's also such a singular comedic voice. You know?
Right.
Yep.
But bottom line, I'm just very impressed that Friendship successfully made a leading man out of Tim Robinson, and would love to see him starring in more mainstream stuff. This is a really fucking funny movie.
No, that was such a great take, Ren. And hearing about your two different experiences was really like eye-opening too, because I've only seen it once, and I liked it. I liked it a lot. It was so weird and uncomfortable. I think I might speak for us all when I say this was one of my most anticipated movies of the year. I love anything Tim is in, big fan of I Think You Should Leave, Detroiters, etc. Again, thank you, Cody, for introducing us to Tim's work.
Yeah,
you got it.
And of course, I love Paul Rudd, who doesn't? And pairing those two guys together with this plot is such a genius move. And it really feels tailor-made for a bunch of 30-something-year-old men like us.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, we're like that test subject for this movie in a way. For me, Friendship was equal parts hilarious and uncomfortable. It has such a unique tone, like you said, Ren, almost like a horror movie meets comedy. I've listened to a couple interviews with Andrew DeYoung about it, and he described it as the evil brother of I Love You Man, which I love. I think that's a pretty perfect way to put it. So I saw this at an early screening with a packed theater as well, and that made all the difference. I feel like it would play way, way differently if you were to watch this without a crowd at home.
Mm-hmm.
The laughs per minute are crazy, and getting that live crowd reaction while experiencing so many ridiculous moments and the cringeworthiness of it all was so fun. It definitely kept me guessing, and because you just have zero sense of where the movie is going to go or what Tim's character is going to do, it's a very active watch. So I felt completely exhausted by the end of it. And it feels weird to say because I really did enjoy it. But I was also glad it was over by the end at the same time. And that's because at the heart of it, I think it captured the feeling of being an outsider wanting to be liked by a friend group a little too well. And quick story with some light spoilers maybe, but I actually did break a sliding glass door at a friend's house the first time I slept over at his house in 5th grade. And it completely ruined the vibe of the night, and the friendship never recovered. So that was triggering. Yeah, I don't know how DeYoung knew how to get me like that, but he did. And it was just so accurate at depicting the things that I'm very self-conscious about and insecure about as a person in a ridiculous, over-the-top way that I spent the whole movie watching Craig's behavior and being like, oh God, like, do I do that? Anyway, we'll talk more about it, but overall, really liked it. Also stressful, so I can't say I loved it, but I really appreciated it, and I'm so glad it was made. Mark, what about you? What did you think, my friend?
Both really great takes, guys. I think I fall in the middle of you two as well, in that I think it's really refreshing to see a comedic theatrical release that actually delivers on the promise of laughs.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a while since I've been in a theater where an audience is actively responding to a movie with laughter, and it was just an overall fun experience to see that with a crowd.
Yeah.
I think Friendship is a great comedy. Tim Robinson delivers on his absurdist, shouty humor that invites endless comparisons to I Think You Should Leave. And if you know of that show, if you like that show as much as we do, then this film will be right up your alley. There are a few incredibly memorable lines that I'm sure will inevitably become memes floating around everywhere.
Uh-huh.
Even when Robinson isn't saying anything, his facial expressions and reactions are enough to make me erupt in laughter. The very first shot of this movie is a testament to that fact. Kind of like you mentioned, Ren. If you're laughing in the first 15 minutes, it's going to be a great ride. As an overall film, I think Friendship could have been maybe even stronger if it had a little more to say about male loneliness and the desire for companionship. I feel like it gets halfway there, but becomes distracted by a handful of surreal tangents. And don't get me wrong, I thoroughly enjoyed those tangents. In fact, I found myself thinking about one particular search party scene multiple times this past week. I just feel like I didn't really leave the theater with a deeper understanding of male friendships as much as I would have liked. But to sum things up, I think Friendship was an incredible comedy with actual laugh out loud moments, even if it didn't reach its full potential as a complete film. Cody, what did you think of Friendship?
Yeah, Mark, I feel like we were all in a tough position for this film because all being huge fans of I Think You Should Leave and Tim Robinson's other projects, I think all of our expectations were probably sky high going into this.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah, and I did my very best to temper my own expectations going in,
Uh-huh.
and for the most part, I'm satisfied with Friendship and its commitment as essentially a feature-length abstract comedy sketch.
Mm.
On one hand, the reason why the sketches in I Think You Should Leave work so well is partially because of their length. They don't tend to overstay their welcome. They're quick. And Tim and the episode directors, they can use that short format to land certain punchlines and these really weird zingers. And maybe that doesn't work as well in the form of a 100-minute feature. But on the other hand, I'm just so happy to get more of this style of abstract comedy.
Mm-hmm.
I will take absolutely anything I can get of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think Andrew DeYoung has done a great job not only to adapt to Tim Robinson's comedic sensibilities, but also shape a story about how one can feel frustratingly awkward in your own skin. As you were referring to, Connor, I think we all have those moments.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this film takes that concept to an extreme conclusion, obviously. And with that extremity, the main character, Craig, can often feel so unforgivably strange and infantile, which is why it may be more accessible in short bursts, like in a short comedy sketch,
Mm-hmm.
rather than in a full feature. So Friendship won't be for everybody, but that is okay. And I really do love its specificity and commitment to the bit. It was a fun watch for me as well.
Nice.
So let's delve in further and move into our scene selection for the day, which we're going to call Trip to Subway, sponsored by Subway. A quick reminder that at the end of the episode, we have actor Billy Bryk joining us for his pro take. So tune in for that as we discuss his performance in the actual scene. And as usual, beware of spoilers ahead.
Is there anyone there?
Yes, what do you see?
Spoilers! Right ahead!
Thank you.
Connor, would you like to give us the scene beats?
I would love to. This scene starts around 1 hour and 12 minutes into the movie and runs for about 6 minutes. So, after a string of personal and professional disasters, Craig Waterman, played by Tim Robinson, finds himself at a low point. Desperate for an escape, he accepts an implicit offer from cell phone salesman Tony, played by Billy Bryk, to deal him drugs. Craig originally asks for ayahuasca, inspired by a book he spotted at the home of his estranged friend Austin Carmichael, played by Paul Rudd. But Tony doesn't have ayahuasca to deal him, and his best alternative is a psychedelic experience triggered by licking an exotic toad. What follows is an unexpectedly banal hallucination. Craig finds himself inside a Subway sandwich restaurant. Austin is there too, now inexplicably working behind the counter. He's also a bit older. Craig calmly orders a Black Forest ham sandwich on Italian urban cheese bread. The vision doesn't go anywhere from there. No life-changing revelations, no chaos, just an oddly specific sandwich order.
Awesome. Well, as we always begin, why this scene?
I don't know about you guys, but I'm sort of fatigued by crazy drug sequences in comedy movies. Maybe we have Seth Rogen and Judd Apatow to blame for this, but I understand the function of a drug scene. It's a quick way to heighten the stakes of a situation, pushing characters beyond what they would normally do while also allowing the director to add some creativity into how the humor is presented. So in a movie full of over-the-top absurdist humor, this drug sequence really sticks out due to the amount of restraint it shows. DeYoung really zags when you're expecting it to zig.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think everyone I've talked to who's seen this movie, the first thing they say is, like, that Subway scene was amazing. And it stands out as something totally new and unexpected in the Hall of Fame of comedy set pieces. And I think that's a huge compliment and such a tough feat because it has to be a really unique thing that no one's done before or no one's seen before. The other scene that was this out of nowhere that I could equate it to is like the car karaoke scene in Step Brothers,
Oh,
or even like Ren the bee scene in Popstar.
yes.
Like, am I
Oh,
off
yeah.
base by saying that?
This fucking bees attitude, man.
It's just so unique. And what I love about this scene thematically is that it shows how little imagination Craig has for one of the craziest things he's ever done in his life. The thing that he can dream up is a trip to a mall subway to order a footlong. And it also shows how fixated he is on Austin, who is like now has white hair for some reason, and he's maybe like 20 years older, to the point where he'd show up in this weird drug trip he has. Like, Craig would be happy if he somehow saw Austin everywhere in his life.
It's really just the anti-joke of it all. It kind
Yeah.
of shifts from that really weird comedic style to something that's so ironic. And just going back to what you were saying about Paul Rudd's character, Connor, and I think I just realized this after rewatching the scene with you guys, that I'm wondering if the reason why Paul Rudd is older in it is almost like a 2001: A Space Odyssey reference, where it's like
Oh.
the trippy, dream sequence, like as the lead character's life is ending and he sees himself in that white room in bed, like rapidly aging. But yeah, this was, as we've been saying, by far, for me at least, the most memorable scene of the film, and got some of the biggest laughs from any audience, it seems, consistently. So
So I guess just to help make sense of like the point of the drug trip scene, I think it's worth expanding on what Connor said about Craig's imagination by comparing this scene with one of Craig's earlier fantasies. There are a few times when we're just in Craig's head and we see the inner workings of his brain on screen. Moments like him zoning out when Austin shows him the ancient hand axe and, getting the nosebleed, or him imagining himself like ecstatically playing drums in Austin's band, just wide-eyed, mystified. But there's a scene when Craig and Austin are walking through a parking lot and Austin sees his dream car, a yellow sports car, and in a kind of sweet moment, he tells Craig that one day when he gets that car, he'll give Craig the first ride. And hearing that, Craig is just on top of the world. This might be where he peaks, just in his life. It might be the best moment of his life, hearing that, getting that validation. And right away, we see a little montage of more of Craig's fantasies of, driving around in the yellow car with Austin, chewing bubble gum and blowing bubbles in unison, like us boys do. It's just guy stuff. And then we hear Craig's voiceover say, I can see the future. And suddenly we're just deep in Craig's head. And in a complete stylistic break from the rest of the film, save the toad scene, it cuts to this insane dystopian hellscape where buildings are crumbling and civilization is clearly falling apart. And in a shelled out building somewhere, huddled around a fire, are Austin plus Craig's asshole coworkers. Basically everyone in his life he wants to impress so badly and needs validation from. Craig heroically emerges with firewood and is received as a hero, and Austin toasts to Craig, their leader, and mentions like, this town would be a goddamn racetrack without you. Got to throw in the reference to his speed bumps. His
back in the
proudest
neighborhood.
achievement.
Right.
So this is a distillation of exactly what Craig craves deep down. And we see that rich fantasy at the exact moment he's gotten a glimpse of what friendship actually is or could be. And it's a pretty dark and twisted vision because even when he's winning, Craig's still just kind of a fucked up guy. But in that moment, it's a fully realized vision where it's clear what he wants more than anything is friendship.
Yeah.
So contrast that with Craig's drug trip, which takes place when his whole life has fallen apart. His wife left. Everyone in his life hates him. And at that point, what else does he even have to look forward to? Like, he definitely can't see the future anymore. To me, it makes perfect sense that his depression would manifest in the form of a Subway shop. Probably the most depressing place you can imagine, where the person who was once the love of his life is now essentially just a withered NPC reciting the typical Subway script. Man, the toad venom reveals Craig's subconscious to himself as something so bland, so devoid of meaning, because he's hopeless in that moment.
Mm,
And even on a subconscious level, he can't even conceive of anything more than what his
right.
life is
Mhm.
at that rock bottom. Also, Craig just seems like the kind of guy who probably loves Subway and goes there all the time. You know,
So
they
true.
got a new sandwich that's supposed to be nuts.
Yeah, I could hear that.
Go see a Marvel right afterwards.
Yeah, just in between
Yeah.
Marvels, you got to pop into Subway. Um, anyway, in addition to being super funny and working really well in this movie, I think the function of this scene is just to show us, how down and out Craig really is, which is made all the more severe after having seen what a vivid dreamer he is when he's at his best.
Oh, that's really well said. I
Wow.
Yeah.
think of that actually. That's a great point to like draw comparisons to all the visions we've seen up until this trip. So let's set the stage a little bit and talk about how this movie actually got made. Why did Andrew DeYoung want to make this movie, and how do you even get a movie like this made? Because it's pretty different.
Yeah, that's a good question. I read a few interviews with Andrew DeYoung, and it seems like the movie was inspired by a real life experience that he had when he had reached out to a colleague hoping to continue their budding friendship after a project had ended. And this was all only for him to be ghosted.
Oh,
So, this feeling of rejection and self doubt led DeYoung to channel his emotions into a screenplay. And he wanted to write a screenplay that explored the complexities of modern friendships and the emotional turbulence that comes with them. And I don't know about you guys, but it feels really relatable. The
mhm.
feeling of rejection when a new acquaintance doesn't want to become an actual friend. Or maybe it's just me and I'm just a giant loser that nobody wants to be friends with. But
Yeah, it's never happened to us, actually. Sorry, bro.
well, I a little peek behind the curtain. I recently moved to a new state and didn't have any friends really when moving over here, and so I quickly realized it's kind of like the Wild West out there trying to meet new friends,
mm,
especially during middle age when people have careers and families to tend to. There's no written code, no set of rules, and so when you put yourself out there and be vulnerable, it really hurts to be rejected. So
Yeah,
I definitely felt
absolutely.
that.
Mark, can I also just say, I hope you're not at middle age. You're
I-
you're still a young man, sir.
Am I?
Yeah.
You're
If you
good.
say
got
so,
plenty of
I'll take
time.
it.
You've got so much time to make friends. You're good.
Yeah, take a few years off. You don't need friends every
Okay.
year.
Thank
Yeah,
you, guys.
It's true. It's true. So I listened to an interview where DeYoung says he actually wrote the script with Tim in mind because they are friends in real life.
Oh.
And he basically emailed him the script, asked if he was interested. And I think he had first met Tim and became friends with him at Connor O'Malley and A.D. Bryant's wedding,
Mm.
which I just realized they're married. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Power couple. Fans of Robinson's other works, like Detroiters, I Think You Should Leave, they'll probably recognize Connor O'Malley as a frequent collaborator. He also has a cameo in this film as one of the partygoers who delivers a passionate rant on top of the stool about how the U.S. troops leaving Afghanistan was a mistake, which got one of the biggest laughs from the audience in my screening. Is so
Yeah.
good.
Same, definitely.
Yeah, and director Andrew DeYoung watched the drug scene from Eric Andre's Netflix movie Bad Trip, which I've never seen. Have you guys seen that?
I did see it.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
Oh, cool.
yeah,
It's
good.
so good.
It's very
okay,
good.
I gotta
I
check
loved
that
it.
out.
Yeah.
But I guess he watched it and thought, well, the way you beat that, or not beat it, but subvert expectations, is you go the exact opposite route.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Now, guys, there was a lot of online speculation as to what. Sorry. I don't know why.
Speculation like begs that kind of voice. Yeah.
We'll just say the message boards are going crazy. All right.
Push the glasses up to your nose.
There was a lot of online speculation as to whether the choice to include Subway as the setting of this sequence was a result of paid product placement. Sure seems like it.
Yeah, it does.
But DeYoung is on the record for saying that Subway was in the initial draft of the script, and he just had the understanding that it would likely need to be swapped out with another generic sandwich place somewhere else along the line. But to his surprise, Subway was all right with being featured in the scene, and reps from the company even showed up on set to deliver tips to Paul Rudd on how to make sandwiches and probably how to just do that same banter that you get in every Subway that you go into.
The eerily familiar script that they all kind of stick to.
Uh-huh.
What's for lunch?
Yeah.
Eat fresh.
Oh, yeah.
And then also in the scene, DeYoung was asked about the inclusion of a toad as the drug of choice to kick off this hallucination. And he stated, quote, "I like the ancientness of it. It's also something unexpected in the back of a cell phone store. It's again something subverting commercialism," end quote.
And I think we get that idea by the way he pulls it out of his knapsack. You know?
Yeah, it comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, it does. You just
Poor toad.
Yeah, turns around, and then he has it right there. But Mark, I was curious, as our resident amphibian expert and doctor, had you heard of a toad's poison having psychedelic effects before? And then, more importantly, how do you think that's going to taste? I think we're going to need a quick doctor's note on this.
Oh yeah, doctor's note.
Is there a doctor in the house?
Oh boy. I have no idea what it would taste like. But I do have a fun fact for you guys.
Okay.
So bufotenin is a chemical in the secretions of several species of toads belonging to the genus Bufo. The toads that most people see in their backyards are called Bufo americanus. It's like the common toad that you see, but it's actually the Colorado river toad that is the only toad species in which the bufotenin toxin is present in large enough quantities for an actual psychoactive effect.
Oh, interesting.
Okay, this is crazy. I don't think I've ever heard of this as being a real thing. So
Really?
No,
I
I've
feel
heard
like
of
it was
so.
like in a bunch of 90s cartoons growing up. Am I crazy?
Oh, probably.
Yeah, I think the Simpsons probably did it at some
Yeah.
point.
Oh, wow, that's nuts.
Mark, you fuck with frogs?
Yeah.
You frog boy?
Big frog and toad guy. Big reptile guy. Just love all the species.
Turtles, too.
Nice, respect.
You too?
I'm an amateur. I don't know that much. I just
okay.
appreciate from afar.
You dabble.
I dabble. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I did I think 2 years of research on frogs in undergrad. So
Oh, wow. Nice.
yeah, it's definitely a pastime of mine. I've always kind of liked them.
That's awesome. I'll be sending you some
Yeah, let's connect on
queries on the side.
yeah.
Well, kind of shifting gears more towards what we're seeing on screen, the visual approach to the scene. There's obviously, as we've talked about in our general takes, a lot of tension in the film and in the scene, and dramatic buildup. Once again, Craig is at the end of his rope. He's about to try something really scary for him. He's like, I think he says, I'm out of ideas.
Yeah.
And it's clear that he probably hasn't done drugs before. And, here he is. He's in a back room, drug deal, about to go for it. And a lot of that tension comes through in the way that the scene is shot. Right off the bat, one of the first shots when they walk back into the back room, it's almost like wide security camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Corner shot, like up top. But what were some things that you guys noticed about the look of the scene?
Just the room where this drug deal takes place is such a funny location for a drug trip, just in general.
Yeah.
Like we're in very close quarters, and we just get a feel for how small this break room is through a few different camera angles and a single overhead light that provides sort of a dramatic feel.
I also noticed that the visuals overall just kind of have a film-like quality to them. There's a softer, grainier, almost surreal feel to the movie, but also the sequence. And the scene, it's kind of dark in the room, especially when Tony turns the lights off and Craig's left alone with the toad. And then we're brought into the subway, and it feels exactly like a subway. That bright, annoying fluorescent lighting. There's a very flat and plain look to it, almost like the way a commercial would feel or be shot.
Oh, totally. Yeah, and speaking of like that transition too, like Craig's waiting for this drug to kick in, and we get this like really slow, tense buildup where I think there's like a dissolve shot in there, cutting between Craig on the ground with like the cardboard behind his head, and then close up of the toad, back and forth. Lights are off, and then we get this really great visual trick staring up at the smoke detector, like looking at it from Craig's point of view on the ground. We actually see Craig walk past that smoke detector on the ceiling.
Yeah.
And that acts as this visual cue to let us know that the toad is kicking in and Craig's trip is starting. I love this moment.
Yeah.
It like really took me by surprise.
It's one of the more the visual trickery there is one of the more impressive moments in the scene.
Yeah.
And you can tell they've really thought about the visual system on how to present the fact to the audience that like he's now in the trip, right?
Right. Because they're both so ordinary that like you could mistake it for just being like the next scene.
Yep.
Right.
It doesn't just cut to it. It needs this kind of transition. And it almost reminded me of like, the way they would have shot something like Spider-Man, where Tobey Maguire is like crawling on the side of a building, and the way the camera positioned it, it looks as though he's crawling up, scaling up the building.
Right.
But it's really shot against like a brick wall that is laying flat on the ground, and the camera is positioned to make it look that way. It's sort of similar in that this smoke detector, which you're getting reverse shot from Tim looking down at Tim, and then reverse shot up to the ceiling looking at the smoke detector, but really the way they would have shot it is like that smoke detector is mounted on a wall, and then it's revealed with Tim walking past the smoke detector, and I think that's probably how they accomplish that, I'm guessing.
No, I love that point of view shot, and the way that we close out the trip too, with T-Boy sort of standing over him at the end saying like, welcome back, like how was your trip?
Also, am I right in remembering that like the color palette of the stock room is basically just Craig's whole outfit color palette the whole time?
Yeah.
Like just that cardboard
That
brown.
Yeah, shout out to Ocean View Diners.
Ocean View Diners.
Yes.
They really got it on lock for the summer
OVD.
collection.
Yeah.
Well, while we're talking about the visuals, I think this would be a good moment to get into a little title talk.
Oh, okay.
Connor, what did you make of this poster? For me, I think the visual itself is a bit straightforward, but I feel like the logo and the title treatment is weirdly memorable at the same time.
Yeah, no, definitely. I love it. And I think it fits the feel of the film perfectly. Everything that we've been talking about, the discomfort, the awkwardness, the brashness of Craig's character, it all comes through in the typography here. We're seeing the word friendship in all caps, and immediately that feels a bit off. Like it's clearly not going to be a soft, feel-good story. There's something weird about it. We're seeing a bold sans serif typeface like Arial bold, but it's stretched and squashed together to the point where the letters are running into each other, much like Craig trying to force himself into Austin's life and his friend group. And then you add in this bright yellow chartreuse color, and it's basically something so in your face that you can't ignore it, basically, despite your best efforts to try to ignore it. Like Austin trying to get Craig out of his life, he just keeps showing up again and again. So I really like that visual text treatment that they came up for the movie. It feels very like accurate for this kind of tone they're going for.
Side note, really cool, Connor. I feel like every single time I ask you one of these, it could be like the most generic ass poster title treatment, and I like put you in a corner to see if you can get out. And every single time you pull up something that like I never would have thought of. So
thanks,
hats
man.
off to you on that.
It's
It's
fun.
really, really cool.
Yeah, that's a new level. The kerning of typography relating to the discomfort between two characters. That's an all-timer right there.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
Guys, we can't talk about friendship without talking about some of these incredible performances.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah. So I read this great quote on Tim Robinson that Andrew DeYoung said. He has this great quote about Tim's unique ability as a performer. He said, "He can do what Daniel Day-Lewis can do, but Daniel Day-Lewis can't do what Tim can do," which is just so hilarious and also probably true. Just like, I don't know, nobody else can really do Tim Robinson's singular comedic sensibility and his timing, and the
right.
thing that he
Yeah.
offers is like, it's only something that he can deliver.
Right.
And we basically see the full range of what he can offer as an actor and comedy performer throughout the movie.
There's just like an intensity to Tim Robinson's performance that makes some of his line readings so memorable and unexpectedly hilarious.
Yeah, it's not coming back.
Yeah, the first line.
In the scene itself, are there any kind of quotes that stuck out to you guys that are some of your favorites?
Yeah, I think this scene has some of the most quotable lines per minute maybe in the whole movie. Both characters between Craig Waterman and Tony or T-Boy have just amazing like banter and lines, and we can go through a few of them here, but I love how this scene starts with Craig leaning over the counter and saying, "I want something a little stronger than beer." It's so weird.
Yeah, I also love the realization that when he first offers the toad to him, he thinks that he's giving him the toad to like keep. And
Yeah.
so his immediate question is like, how am I supposed to feed him?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then and we'll have to ask Billy Bryk,
Yeah.
Tim's scene partner in the scene, who really not only holds his own but brings so much to his role, and we'll dig
Yes.
into that. But we'll have to ask him about the balance between scripted versus improv, and
Right.
because
there
some
was
of them
any.
seems like that there's no way that could have been written.
Right.
Like,
Right.
one quote that sticks out is like, "Sorry, my money kind of smells bad," for some.
So
Yeah.
bizarre. Yeah.
Like, "Sorry, my money smells bad." It just seems like such a random, offhanded quote that like couldn't have been scripted, but I don't, maybe it was.
No, each line of dialogue is like so surprising through this entire exchange.
So much
Yeah.
of the movie feels like that, where
Uh-huh.
you can tell that they're just in the zone, especially the Connor O'Malley,
Oh, yeah.
Tim Robinson back and forth scene. I'm sure they
Mhm.
went for like a half hour and had to just pare that all down to what you actually see in the movie and have it still make sense within the story.
I would easily watch that half hour.
Oh, me
Oh,
too.
sure.
Yeah.
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 Then there's this great moment, if you guys recall, where he licks the toad, and Billy's comment right away is like, "Oh, big lick,"
Oh, wow. Big lick.
I love that. I love
Which is
that
like
so
the
much.
last thing you ever want to hear.
I know.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. And especially as we've mentioned that Tim's character, Craig, probably hasn't really been in this world. He seems like a relatively straight edge kind of guy. So the
Mhm.
fact that he's doing this like hallucinogen for the first time ever, and you're being told like that lick was too big,
Mhm.
I that's so relatable for anyone who's like eating a shroom or something. Like, oh, you just
Yeah,
had way too
yeah,
much,
yeah.
and now you just have to wait it out.
Well, like Craig does a great job saying like, "Was that too big? Fuck. Was that too big?" Like, we've all sort of been there in some form or fashion, and that feeling when you're like, "Oh man, I'm in trouble now," probably.
And going back to what Cody said, like it raises the tension of the scene and the
Yeah.
drama of the scene. You're expecting something like really crazy to happen to him.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, and if that was a big lick, like if a big lick took him to Subway, where with like a
Right.
normal dose.
A normal lick. Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like I can't wait to talk to Billy about his character because he adds so much depth to this character. He could easily have been played pretty one note and
Mhm.
kind of just like
Mhm.
shady cell phone guy, but there's a lot of depth to him and
Mhm.
his character. There's a genuineness to him. And he's got plenty of great quotes in this scene as well.
Yeah, like one line that this scene starts with that adds some really unexpected depth or like interest to his character is he says, My name's Tony, but when my hair's down, people call me T-Boy. Like, what does that mean?
It's like unexpected lore being dropped in the middle of the scene. Yeah.
He just seems kind of like a guy who's very committed and hardworking to whatever he's doing, because when he's a cell phone salesman up front, like with his hair up, so to speak, he's still extremely accommodating and is like, what about the Mars rover cell phone case that you get for free?
Yeah.
Right.
And which is probably why Tim connects with him instantly and like invites him to go get a beer across the street, because he's like, is this a replacement friend for me? He's acting friendly.
Right.
And then even when he lets his hair down, becomes T-Boy in the back room, he still wants Tim to have like a genuinely good experience and to help in some way. So there's a certain authenticity brought by Billy to it.
He tells him he loves him.
I know.
Oh,
Another great
that
moment.
was huge laugh also.
I love how matter-of-factly T-Boy talks too. Like, he very calmly walks Craig through the process, using some like really poetic language about what he can expect by licking this toad. And then after going through all of it, he says, I'm going to turn off the lights for you, and then I'm going to go get some lunch because it's my lunch break. And I just love the idea that this is happening in this break room in the middle of the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I for some reason pictured it at night.
Me too. Well,
And
it's
so when
dark.
he said lunch, yeah, it like completely got a laugh out of me.
And there's no windows in that room, so you just have no concept of what time it is.
Mm-hmm.
I think night workers still call it lunch, even
That's fair.
when it's like the middle of the night. Like, I'll take my
That's
lunch
like a
now.
whole new element. Wow.
Yeah. And I wonder if there's a clue in there that the fact that his quote unquote lunch break is to go get, as he says, Rolos and a Red Bull.
Yeah.
So I almost wonder if it's some sort of like energy drink sugar rush to kind of like, keep going into the night or something.
Good point.
And then jumping to the actual subway sequence to talk about some of those elements like in the restaurant. Obviously one of the main performer behind the counter, it's Paul Rudd, who clearly has taken a shine to the way that subway workers are like overly friendly and have this script, as we've sort of brought up before. But don't you guys think he just pulls that off so well? Like
totally.
If I went to a Subway and interacted with that character, like Paul Rudd in that restaurant, I would be so happy and
I'd leave a tip.
just really happy to be here.
I don't think Subway's ever been that inviting. It's like it's a very utopian Subway.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can see why they were on board with sponsoring this or why letting this happen, because it's like a perfect commercial for Subway. Like, I want that to be my experience. I want Paul Rudd to serve me.
Yeah, me too.
I would actually love to see the metric of, sandwich orders or Subway visits as a result of the film. Like, hey, we should go grab dinner after the film, and like Subway.
Yeah.
Right.
I'd be so curious what that
they have like nothing to lose by being in this film.
Yeah.
I lived in Ireland for a couple years, and
cool.
I hit a streak where I was going to Subway like a couple times a week. It was very embarrassing. I had to do it in secret, make sure none of my coworkers saw me. But it was just a comfort food thing.
Oh yeah.
And shortly after I moved back, the Irish government literally declared that Subway can't legally call their bread because the sugar content is so high. So it's like pastries essentially.
Wow.
So yeah. So I was just eating donuts essentially.
Donut sandwiches. I have a fun fact for you guys about Subway. I have only ever gotten the exact same order at Subway. I've only ever tried one sandwich. I go to Subway like we had it yesterday. Like, we have it somewhat frequently.
Because of the film?
Oh, nice.
Not because of the film, actually.
Okay.
We just we go there. We get lunch from there on the weekends, like maybe once a month or something. But
wow.
I get the Italian BMT. That's my sandwich.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a go-to for me.
Yeah.
It was hard to quit. I mean, still, if I'm walking by and I catch the smell, it's like,
ooh, yeah.
Could use a pack right now.
Just talking about it.
Thank you so much, Subway.
Subway. Eat fresh.
Mark, you being kind of the music audio expert here,
Ooh, okay.
dig into the audio elements a little bit, because we're hearing a lot of like ambience, a lot of creepy
Mm-hmm.
background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the score was composed by Keegan DeWitt, but I did a decent amount of digging and I really couldn't find much about it online. I didn't see any interviews with him.
Huh.
So I didn't really get a good sense of his creative process into making the score for this film. But in this scene, when T-Boy is describing the experience he's gonna have, there's like this mix between like this sinister undertone with these ambient tones at the same time that are kind of hilariously channeling spiritual or ethereal sounds. It kind of was
Mm-hmm.
reminiscent of being in a spa with calming soundscapes all around. But at the same time, when they juxtapose that with like this menacing blank look from the toad looking out like the cage, it just kind of gives
Mhm.
like mixed feelings.
Yeah.
And then as we're entering Tim Robinson's trip, there's like these ribbit trills in the background with little gusts of wind. So I thought that was a nice little touch.
No, it's great. And it's funny. I think you mentioned, Mark, when you were talking about the frog, DeYoung mentioned he liked the ancientness of it, of the toad.
Mhm.
And the sounds are like very ancient and primal.
Yeah.
Like it's almost,
Yeah,
I don't know how to describe it, but like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
word feels
I feel
very
it.
specific.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's kind of all summed up in Billy Bryk's Tony's quote, where he at the end where he says, "The toad is mysterious."
Right. Right.
It's kind of presented as as this ancient, mysterious thing that could take you anywhere. It could feel like 3 to 4 months and this
Right.
crazy journey, or it could be a trip to Subway. And Ren, as we transition to our pro take guest, we just have to give you one more huge thank you for joining us today with your very insightful breakdown of the scene, and
Yeah.
that actually gave a really nice new perspective. We thank you for joining us here. It's been so great.
Oh, thank you so much. This has been super fun, guys. Thank you so much for having me. I really do hope we could be friends in real life one day.
Absolutely. You're 100% part of the group, Ren. You're welcome
Yeah.
back anytime.
Yeah, please come back anytime. Yeah. Well, thank you, Ren. And now that we have broken down the trip to Subway scene, we would like to welcome on our pro take guest, actor Billy Bryk, for his insights on friendship.
Amateur or professional?
Professional.
Today here on Scenecraft, we have an amazing multi-hyphenate guest. He co-wrote, directed, produced, and performed in his film Hell of a Summer, and has performed in films like Ghostbusters Afterlife, Saturday Night, and of course, Friendship, where he plays the role of Tony, aka T-Boy. We'd like to welcome on Billy Bryk. Billy, thank you so much for joining us today to talk about Friendship.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
So this being the pro take section of the podcast, we always like to explore how we as the audience ended up getting the exact film and scene that we experienced. So what led to your involvement in Friendship? Did you audition for the role?
I did, yeah. It was the first movie that I auditioned for after moving to New York. And I auditioned a couple of times. I auditioned, I just did a self-tape, so my team sent me the sides, so the Tony/T-Boy scenes,
Nice.
and then they sent me the script. And I just loved the script, and I did a self-tape with my cousin, and then I was watching it back, and I thought that it wasn't very good, so I called my dad and asked if he could help me do a self-tape, just because I really, it was a project that I really wanted. So I tried it again with him on a little iPad, and we did it a few times. I remember at one point after a take, I had to tell my dad, like, "Hey, can you tone down the Tim Robinson impression?" Because he's a big Tim Robinson fan. And I was like, "I appreciate that you're really getting into this here, but like, I think if you just read it a little bit more, not like an impression, it'll be a little less distracting for me."
Amazing.
We were curious. What were your first impressions when you first read those sides and the script? And then specifically the Subway Toad scene that we're talking about today. Have you always connected with that style of absurdist comedy?
I'm a really big fan of Tim's, and I'm a huge fan of Paul's as well. I really was a fan of Andy's work as well, some of the web series stuff that he'd done, and he had just directed a bunch of episodes of TV that I didn't realize that he had made. But then afterwards, I realized, oh, this is someone who he's just an incredible filmmaker. So yeah, I read the script and I just laughed really hard, and I thought it was so special that this was going to be Tim's first leading role in a movie, and not to sound egotistical, but when I read the sides, I just pictured someone a little bit weirder than me doing it. Like, it just was written as he had, like, really long hair, and he was written as this sort of oddball, and you never know, like, I guess I just was picturing somebody else. So I tried to just get in the mindset of what, like, my version of this character would look like, and then just hope that they responded to it, and I was so lucky that they liked me, that I got to do it.
Awesome.
Yeah, the scene itself, and of course the dialogue that you bring to it, it just has such a great blend between that absurdist tone and a naturalism. Like in your monologue, how you switch perfectly from a line like, your mind is about to disintegrate, to, I'm going to go get some lunch because it's my lunch break. We're just curious how you balance those tones and your decisions as an actor, and how much of your performance was scripted versus improvised.
I thought that everything was in the script, in the scene. I thought the script read as so funny. I loved the scene, and yeah, I sort of wanted to, I guess, approach it with the same mix of like intensity and naturalism for everything, and everything is matter of fact with him. This is someone who's done every drug under the sun, so it's no different him talking about this than him having Rolos and a Mountain Dew. Like they're the same level of mundane to him almost at this point. And then also there was something really special to me. I thought that like reading the whole script, Tim's character, Craig, is just like hated by so many people and he gets it wrong so many times. And for whatever reason, he has this genuine connection with this like 18-year-old drug dealer slash cell phone salesman. And I thought that was so sweet and funny. And I wanted it to feel real always, like their connection to feel genuine, and that T-Boy slash Tony cares for him, and when he tells him he loves him, like it has to mean something. Like I didn't want that to read as a joke. I thought that sort of the more serious he took it, the better. And then in terms of improv, I mean, there wasn't all that much improvisation. Like I loved the script so much that I didn't even want to stray from it. And there are a few lines in there, like I don't think that there's a moment where after he licks the toad, I believe I say like, "Whoa, big lick," or something like that.
Right.
I don't think that was scripted. I don't know where. I'm not gonna take like credit for that. I might have said that, and then we thought it was funny. It could have been something that Andy was like, "Try saying this," or Tim, or I don't know where that came from. I don't fully remember, but I remember that being one that wasn't in the script, but just made so much sense. Like it was such a funny turn for him, and of course he takes too big of a lick, and the fact that this guy who's the whole time, I don't know, been prepping him for this and saying it's like ice cream or on a summer's day or whatever the line is, and then for him to kind of be like pump the brakes a little bit and be like, "Whoa, dude!" I thought it was a very funny turn and very in character in the world of that movie.
I love that. That moment got a huge laugh from me, so it's fun to hear a little more detail about how that line came to be. So I know you mentioned that both you and your dad are both big fans of Tim. Can you tell us a little bit about your back and forth and the collaborative dynamic with Tim and, of course, Andrew DeYoung on set?
Andy is such a funny guy and I think he's such a great director, so he really just gave me a lot of space with it, and if I wanted to try something, he really let me. Even if it wasn't gonna be in the movie, and I sort of knew that, and it was nice, and as I said, like, I didn't wanna try too much stuff because I felt like everything was so on the page, but he was, like, really encouraging to try things. And then Tim was great to hang out with on and off camera. He was making me laugh so much while we were shooting, but then also he's just a really normal, down-to-earth guy, which I appreciated.
You mentioned you imagined your character as having long hair, and you've got this line, "I'm T-Boy when my hair's down." Did you work with hair and makeup, or Andrew or anyone to develop that rat tail look for your character?
Well, no, that was scripted, and then I was just nervous because my hair wasn't very long, so I
Got it.
went in for a fitting, and they did like a rat tail thing, so it just was a little extension that they clipped into the back of my hair. And I wasn't quite sure how it would look, but it ended up looking like shockingly natural. I kind of liked it. I liked having it. I
Yeah.
wouldn't have it like Billy would not have it, but there was something really fun about having that. And then that idea that when his hair is let down, people call him T. Like it felt like part of this character and this sort of weird like superhero persona almost that he has. Um, but that was something that was scripted, and I was so happy that it wasn't something that was like cut, because it would have been such an easy thing to just be like, all right, we cast a kid and he doesn't have long hair, like let's not
Mm-hmm.
do it. But I was so glad that they stuck with it, and it makes so much sense. I mean, it's a great joke and it's a great bit, so I was stoked to be able to have that little extension.
Yeah, it looks great with the rubber band sections going all the way down. You definitely pull it off. And then, of course, I have to ask about the toad. Now, I'm a big amphibian guy, and to my eye, it looked like you were holding a real toad in that scene.
That was an actual toad, and it's a funny thing. I'm not the most, maybe I'm not the bravest when it comes to like things like handling toads. I don't think outside of set I would ever. I just, if someone offered me to hold a toad, I just would pass, I think. But being there and having a toad there and a toad wrangler, it just became like, you just kind of throw yourself into it. So it was a real toad. They told me how to hold it so it wouldn't jump away. It squirmed. It squirmed a little bit. It's an animal. I understand. Every time every time you put the toad down, they would have to come like wipe your hands with a special cleaning product because it was a poisonous toad.
Oh,
And they were
wow.
like, I was like, well, what would happen if I didn't properly clean my hands? And the toad woman was like, oh, it's no big deal. Like if you ate, you'd just throw up all your food. Like you just get pretty sick. And I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah,
Copy that.
no big deal. Yeah.
Nothing. Yeah. And then I don't know if Tim like loved the toad either. Like I had to he didn't lick a real one. Thankfully, we swapped it.
Got it.
There's a little like
Nice.
Texas switch with the toad. I was holding the toad above him and it was just squirming. And I think maybe when he said, don't pop it, he says, don't pop it in the movie, or like, don't let it pop.
Right.
I think that was just in response to the fact that the toad was sort of inflating in odd ways. And I remember the first time he said that, it really made me laugh.
So
There was a lot. Yeah, the toad like peed a bunch the first time I picked it up because I think maybe that's a defense mechanism, and it was technically poisonous. And but it ended up being totally fine. I cleaned him off and went home. No problem.
Oh man. Well, I'm glad you made it safely through that
Yeah.
experience.
It was a close call. He wanting to hold a toad. And I got it.
Are there any little details in the scene that you are particularly fond of? Maybe a little moment here or there that the audience may not have picked up on?
I love, there's so many little funny moments. Something that makes me laugh is when Tim pays me for the drugs, and he apologizes because the money stinks. And that was something that really made me laugh on the day. And then I took my girlfriend to the premiere and she started laughing really hard at that joke. She just said that she really related to. She's like, that's something I would say. And I was like, it weirdly is. Like she kept telling me how much she related to Craig in the movie. And that was just something that I remember on the day really made me laugh, and then makes me laugh now thinking about it, and in relation to my girlfriend laughing because she found it relatable. Which is like is a specific type of person who I think would be paranoid about their money stinking or even notice that. I'm not that person, but I'm glad that those people are out there because it's so funny. It's funny.
Yeah. Relatable for many, clearly.
Yeah.
So we were debating a moment where you give back a $20 bill to Craig and you say something like, you gave me too much. Your character actually seems like a pretty decent guy with some good morals who honestly just wants Craig to have a good experience. Was that your aim for your character?
I'm glad that you did pick up on that, and I sort of forgot. That was another thing that wasn't scripted. It just happened, and there was something we liked so much about it, of him just being like a genuinely honest guy, and he does just love what he's doing. And even when the trip goes wrong in Craig's eyes, Tony is like fascinated by it still. And the subway trip scene is just brilliant. It's such a brilliant joke, and it's such an incredible way to end that scene. Yeah, I always liked that he was honest with him, and that he doesn't want more than, he doesn't take more than he feels as though he deserves.
It's really nice. Just like instantly, you gave me too much, man.
Yeah.
It's just a great little, it's a great moment. Well, thank you so much, Billy, for joining us today to talk about friendship. Your Toad scene is pretty definitively the most memorable scene in the film, at least for us. So thank you for all of your insights and for making the film that much better.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been great talking to you. Thanks.
Thank you again to Billy Bryk for his pro take on friendship, and a big thank you to our friend Ren for joining us today. And of course, thank you to our listeners and fellow movie enthusiasts for reliving this scene with us. Do you have a favorite scene from Friendship? You can email us at contact@scenecraftpodcast.com with any of your thoughts or comments, or follow us on most social media platforms at Scenecraft Podcast for any scheduling updates and news. You can support the podcast by leaving us a review or star rating on your platform of choice. A very special thanks to Jordan Summerlad for our theme music. This has been Scenecraft, where we break down the craft behind our favorite scenes. See you all next time.